Hello, hello. It's your astrologer friend Kimberly here with the new moon in Libra update, coming to you with the chart, the information, and I just want to give a little bit of a plug and an advertisement to my new moon masterclass. If you enjoy the way I speak about astrology and delineate and interpret these charts, you're going to want to buy at this very, 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 very favorable price, 11 US dollars, 11 cents. This masterclass where I basically talk about all the new moons and full moons of 2026. There's 25 in total, 13 full moons, 12 new moons. And basically, I go through all of them in detail. You'll also get a PDF handout with the 2026 times, dates, and degrees for 3 different time zones: UK, US, and Hong Kong for my buddies over here in Asia. And I've also done a lot of information just generally about the moon. So the moon phases, the moon cycle, what it all means, and interpretations of just bog standard new and full moons according to zodiac sign. So what does the new moon in Libra mean every single year? And then a more specific, nuanced look at 2026. So I'm really eager for people to get this. It's a great offer, but it also really takes us through a walk through 2026 because each chart that I've drawn up includes all the other planets, and my interpretation of them without a horoscope by sign includes a look at the energies of each lunation for 2026. So it's really, really a good thing to have if you're looking ahead. And I also tell you how to pull up the chart, your own natal chart, and compare and contrast where the new moon is happening for you. There's also a handout about what that means. So basically a transits handout. So definitely message me or sign up in the link below for the Moon Masterclass. It's an absolute bargain. I may put the price up, and yeah, and it also goes into moon signs as well. So very, very fun. I'm really, really glad that I have started teaching astrology, and there's my first offering out there as well. So let's look at the new moon in Libra, which is happening. Now, we all know that Libra is the zodiac sign of relationships, of harmony, of balance, of equilibrium, of diplomacy, of congeniality. And here we have the new moon, the sun and the moon at the very, very end of zodiac sign Libra, which is an air sign, which is a cardinal sign. And this new moon is co-present with Venus in Libra, 2 at 9 degrees. Now, I have littered this chart with asteroids, which I'll go through one by one in a moment. But before I do, let's just look at the grand trine in water that we're playing with here. We have Jupiter in a nice trine to Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter exalted in Cancer there at 24 minutes, 25 degrees, really, really close, coming into a very close trine to Saturn at 26 degrees, 20 minutes. And we also have the combination of Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, which is absolutely exciting, scintillating, sexy, and probing, up close and personal with Black Moon Lilith at 21 degrees of Scorpio too. So we've got a nice little huddle going on in the witch's coven sign of Scorpio there, 2020 and 21, Mars, Mercury, and Black Moon Lilith, creating a grand water trine. And so I looked at this astrology, I guess, earlier this year and last year, and I was thinking there's such a lot of air coming in. We have so many air planets and fire planets popping off. However, needless to say, we still have our strong Jupiter in water. We still have Scorpio season arriving just a couple of days later than this new moon, and Saturn dipping back into Pisces there retrograde, and Neptune will soon follow. So I consider that a very empathic, compassionate, deep, emotionally probing time to continue on with watery themes. So if you know the tarot, if you generally can kind of understand the concept of the water element, we're still enmeshed in watery sensibilities. Sensibilities being intuition, night kind of forces, more yin forces. Remember, water is so permeating and will flow and go wherever we pour it, or it will sink down to its, the deepest depths it can reach. I've been teaching astrology and I liken the earth and the water, to the garden that we pour a watering can over, and just imagine that water sinking down through earth. So earth settles, but water goes even deeper. And so with this new moon, even though we're very much in an air space with in airspace with the sun and the moon, and the moon's ruler and the sun's ruler, Venus, all in Libra, we are dealing with a really nice water trine. We are in emotional connectivity. We are in enmeshed with thoughts and feelings and motivations and actions that are watery, that are really felt deeply. So that's just to say I'm excited about the fact that there's a grand trine in water. But there's obviously much more going on in the air and the fire elements, which is, of course, the new moon. Its ruler Venus in a sextile. I know it's not exactly a tight sextile, but I did think it was worth mentioning. Juno here, the wife of Zeus, an asteroid, but Eris is a dwarf planet that is exactly the same size as Pluto. I say exactly, it's roughly the same size as Pluto. It's a lot further away, but I think we should kind of be including and working with Eris and Chiron and asteroid. The asteroid goddesses. We've got Juno over here, Pallas at 7 degrees. So Pallas is in a fairly nice trine to the ruler of the new moon, which is Libra, Venus in Libra. And now we have Ceres at 5 degrees. I love Ceres. So it's not an exact opposition, but we've got this little pairing here of Ceres and Neptune in Aries, and the new moon opposing the combination of Chiron and Eris at 24 degrees and 25 degrees over here. Now, if you were watching my last new moon video, sorry, last full moon video, you will have seen me making a big deal about this pairing here. And I don't know about you, but I am feeling that the current macro and micro repercussions of these huge planets that affect us, I do feel like there's a real charge in the air. Now, another reason why this combination is important and pertinent right now is Jupiter is exactly square Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is the centaur who could never heal himself, even though he had loads of knowledge and wisdom bestowed on him by Zeus. He was able to heal others. He was a bit of a magical, medical genius, mythologically speaking. And he was able to heal others, but never could heal his own wound. I went into it a lot in the last video, I believe, all about Prometheus and so on and so forth. Anyway, he is square Jupiter in this chart. And one of my astrology teachers was adamant that Chiron is early childhood wounding. Maybe that's because it's so felt in Aries with this, first sign of the zodiac, very childlike, naive. Some people use the word naive or innocent for Aries. As an Aries, I concur. But Chiron here in this area of the chart was square to Jupiter, Jupiter being expansive, excessive, and the blower upper, the planet that emphasizes and magnifies and aggrandizes everything that it touches, is blowing up Chiron. So right now, early childhood wounding, us looking at, wounds from the past. And I might add that Victoria Beckham, who I've just watched her documentary and I'm going to do a big old video on her, has Chiron right now on her sun roundabout. Um, and so she's been talking about how she was bullied as a child, how she went to school and they called her fat in her theatre, amateur dramatics schooling. So, very much a prominent or pertinent issue that people have been leaping on social media to say, like, of course, this was not a good thing to talk to a young girl about or a young person about, is, calling them fat, and basically wounding them. And Victoria does have her Chiron around her sun as well. So this is a very interesting example of bullying, essentially. So Chiron, found in the charts of people with it rising or conjunct the sun, complaining about bullying, experiencing a differentness and isolation. She said that she was very isolated at school. I'll do a whole separate video. Anyway, it's also been my experience with Chiron, how much of a theme that is. And that was also because Chiron was ostracized and rejected by his mother, who saw that he was half man, half beast. He was a centaur, and she was just ready to absolutely reject him and said, take him away, please, please. I do not want this kid, which is why he ended up, going off and being trained in all the arts and medicine that he ended up being schooled in. So that was Chiron. Anyway, Chiron is square Jupiter, so an amplification of the issues that include things like early childhood wounding, bullying, and war and aggression, because this is Aries. We've got Eris right there as well with a square from Jupiter included. So we've got the grand water trine, which is incredibly empathic and compassionate, and we're listening with hearts open to everything that's happened. But also there's this kind of not defiance, but a kind of battle cry or a warrior cry, and cry being the word of like, I was wounded, this was painful, and that amplification as well. So not only do we have that square, but the new moon in Libra plays into this, because at 28 degrees, and these two being at 24, 25, it's basically really, really a prominent theme in the chart with that opposition and square. So if we even walk back a couple of days, a few days, we've got the sun opposite Chiron square to Jupiter. So basically reference what happened on Friday if you were feeling extra tender, extra sore. And actually, even going back as far as the last quarter moon in Cancer a week ago. So basically, Monday the 13th, which I was out for dinner on that night. I meant to do a little post on social media about the last quarter moon because it was conjunct Jupiter. It was a real prominent theme there, but I missed it. I didn't manage to do that. I will be better moving forward. I'm definitely dedicating more time to putting myself out there, which is not always comfortable as an Aries with Chiron approaching my sun. Anyway, but this is the new moon that we're talking about. So we've got that opposition and that square from Jupiter playing into this new moon. So partnerships having to be aware of early childhood wounding, partnerships having to accommodate the emotional, Jupiter in Cancer, principle or precedent of, something's calling us here. Like, this isn't just about Libra and we've got Venus in Libra. This is all lovely and convivial and, miscongeniality. It's all peaceful and, demure. No, someone's crying in the corner really loudly and it's got Aries written across its head. And it's being elaborated by childhood and family, because, Jupiter in Cancer being this big deal around family as well. So it's not just about me and we, myself and us, Aries and Libra, and kind of that pattern or that kind of principle of interpersonal dynamics. It's also got Jupiter there. And Mars and Mercury and Black Moon Lilith touching really uncomfortable topics, right? Like touching the things that we might not want to talk about, but we're going to anyway. And then Saturn in Pisces, rounding us off with that grand water trine, being the slow, diligent, disciplined practice of touching healing, not healing in the chironic sense, but kind of recovery in the Piscean sense of endings and renewal. So that's that. And yeah, we've still got the trine between Pluto and Uranus going on. Let's do a sign by sign because that's what we're really here for, isn't it, everybody? So let's put the chart so you can all see back to whole sign. So we can go through at the most simple, basic level what this looks like for the individual, forgiving the moon for its movement around the zodiac. So for Aries, it pretty much mirrors the interpretation that I've given, which is self identity versus how to come together with a partner in a loving partnership, in a safe partnership, more predominantly, though, because Aries ruler Mars is creeping up on Mercury and Black Moon Lilith. Can I reveal myself to you? Are you going to be someone I can trust and take home to mama? Because Jupiter's there in Cancer. So lots of social stuff going on for Aries at the moment too, but more prominently the deep and probing issues that are brought up by Mars in Scorpio. And like considering that at this new moon. So we want a partner, but we also want a partner who can cope with our secrets and our process of collaboration on that deeper level. For Taurus rising, it's a new moon that's all around your well-being, your special capabilities in looking after the nuts and bolts of life. So this is the new moon in your 6th house. However, human relations so play into this with the pairing or the triple threat here of Mars, Mercury, and Black Moon Lilith in your relationship house. This is your opposite sign, Scorpio, and Jupiter, who is desperately trying to educate you on how to communicate. You might have had a really big year for basically engagement and neighbors and writing projects and articles and all different kinds of published or writing projects from your perspective, Taurus, because this is in your 3rd house of connection and communication skills. So, you might be dealing with another person who's aware of what you're trying to communicate, but at the same time, there's this square to Eris and Chiron in the 12th house of secrets, of, mysteries, of hidden agendas. This is the 12th house of closeted behaviors, closeted hidden agendas. So there being tension between trying to get the job done, trying to communicate what you think, and navigating what's super, super, super duper private, So relationships are huge, but so is trying to get the job done and stay healthy and stay well and stay positive in that 6th house moment. But it is a new beginning for how you get stuff done. And then we've got Gemini rising. So for Gemini risings, it's all about your happiness, romance, children, pleasure, and devoting your heart to what you love, which could be a music project, it could be dance, it could be something joyful and expressive that allows you to find meaning and joy. However, you're having a really, really busy, demanding time for work and health with Mars, Mercury, Black Moon Lilith, all in the 6th house of wellness, and Jupiter in your money zone, and Saturn, responsibility planet Saturn, in your 10th house of career and professional outward image, right? This is how you're projecting success, how you're stepping up into authority. And so that grand water trine is encouraging you to be a responsible adult, but also to be healthy, to just do all the things, right? To drink water, to make a living, to look after yourself so you can earn a crust. But the new moon wants you to play, wants you to have fun, wants you to devote yourself to joyful moments, going to a theatre or a music hall. And then you've got the Aries planets, which are a sticky thorn, a kind of dagger in your side, which is community issues. So there being a lot of charge around the people that you know. So there may be figures who are going through stuff, right? And that makes it harder for you to have a good time when you are dealing with basically members of your community, which may be partners, right? It doesn't have to just be like a stranger who's going through something. It can also be people that you know that you're quite close to, and they're going through things too. Friends. Cancer, Cancer risings, there is a new beginning for you around your home, your base, your family perceptions, your how you want to live in your residence, where you want to settle, how you want to design your space. But this is not easy to focus on, your nourishment, your mothering agenda within, because you're currently playing host to Jupiter in your zodiac sign. So you're on a new adventure. You've got Mars, Mercury, Black Moon Lilith, all in your fifth house of sexuality, pleasure, play, performance. It's about showing off, shining, having this, wild adventure that you're kind of excited about with this Jupiter energy, expanding who you are and potentially launching something that's very, very prolific and prominent. So pouring all that heart and that creativity into joy, children, but then also having to reconcile your aspirations and ambitions and the painful truths, potentially, or the honest look at how you actually come across in your career as a success, and then how you're going to feel rooted given this really uncomfortable outer shell. So if we compare the Victoria Beckham story, she obviously wants to right now not ground herself, but be present for her private life, her home life, her family. But she's also kind of done this expose, which is all about, early childhood wounding, and launched this TV show. So she's being vulnerable. She's got this, and it's also about her career as a fashion designer. And she's being very vulnerable and open about all the money that she's lost. And of course, the sun is at the top of her chart. That's her second house ruler, which is financial. So if you're an Aries with the sun in the 10th house, that could also be topical, right? Like the idea of having to be a career person, a career woman, a career man, a career professional, somebody who's cultivated a business, but actually is coming to terms with the less comfortable sides of being an entrepreneur, of being someone who puts it out there, who puts their face out there. And so all they want to do right now is kind of feel settled and feel that they have a place of sanctuary and security. And yeah, and yet they're kind of on this creative jaunt. They're on this creative mission, which really matches with Victoria and with my own experience at the moment too. I'm, trying to put myself out there and take chances with this Scorpio triple planetary activity here. And yeah, it's not comfortable when you feel like you're not a success because of Chiron pointing out all the painful stuff and then trying to settle. Like, here's me trying to build a new home, new life for myself in Japan, focus on that, but also facing up to the realities of needing to be a career person too. So that's Cancer risings, and Cancer might be feeling it too. And then we've got Leo risings. So for Leo risings, the new moon is in your house of connectivity, neighbors, communication skills, writing projects, and Yeah, and neighborly environments, local surroundings, mindset, thought process, sibling relationships. So there's a new beginning around how the Leo risings engage, relate, operate, head out into sort of their local area or among their brotherhood, their sisterhood, how you sit and chew the cud and like connect, which could be really, really positive if it weren't for the fact that these planets in Aries are this asteroid and this dwarf planet in Aries are kind of interjecting with this challenge around your journey, your beliefs, your experiences, and your greater truths. So the ninth house for the Leo rising is all about how they have gone beyond their local environment. And so, whilst you want to connect and be a part of the brotherhood, you're actually faced with the fact that you know more, you've experienced more, and you're also transitioning because you've got Jupiter there in your 12th house, which wants you to surrender, succumb, slow down and face the very, very uncomfortable process of unraveling and, healing from the last 12 years that you've been on this personal mission, Leo risings. And then also you're probably doing a lot of activities in your home or around your family, so it could be a really engaging time for Leo around family because the third house is siblings, cousins, and close relatives. And the fourth house is how you address parents, your roots and your nest, etc. And then also Saturn in the eighth house, presenting financial or emotional entanglements too. So next up, we've got Virgo risings. This is a new beginning for your job, for your ability to make money or prove yourself useful. And yet we've got this very painful trust issue potentially coming up. And there's a lot around community as well, like how this great transit of popularity and expansion on the notion of friendship and supportive allies, that's not quite coming off right now. So you've got this investment, this commitment that you've made, eighth house, or this idea that you are collaborating and working with others, and yet potentially it's not necessarily 100% coming off well in your network. And then also this money issue. But there is a lot of social promise around your human relations with this pairing here, very strong in your third house of close connections, siblings. So there might be a social project or, basically putting yourself on social media or connecting, communicating, writing, journaling, and also that strong connection with Saturn in your seventh house, pointing out what you've learned about relationships. So interesting for Libra, like be aware of where you're spending money or how your income is generated and how even you get passive income or money through outside partnerships. Interesting. Libra rising. This is your personal new beginning. This is your new epoch that you're entering into, a wonderful time to begin again, to have a fresh start, to turn the page on your chapter of life. But you are very caught up in professional issues and how you're coming across in your work role potentially. You've probably got a lot of drive and gumption and discipline around health, work, and well-being, but a key relationship could be prominent or just key people that you deal with. Like it could be a partner, it could be a family member, it could be any figure that's also tied to your professional image and world. And so notice where these issues aren't necessarily compatible, simpatico, career and how you want to come across in your professional life. Relationships, are they kind of making it more difficult for you to rise up And then authenticity, like who you are as a true person, as a true individual, how you paint a picture of yourself as a person of interest, your personal life, your true, and there could be a little bit of physical stuff going on here as well. Like it's very much mixed in with career and aspirations, how you come across, how you look, how you are operating. Libra risings. Scorpio, Scorpio risings. This is the new moon to surrender, right? We don't often have transits through Libra. We've had lots going on in Capricorn these past few years. We've had Aries galore. Cancer's always an active area, but the 12th house for you has not been super active. It has lately. And so you may have been purging. You may have, in this last month, had reason to grieve, had reason to really confront some topical emotions. Mars and Mercury in your first house are allowing you to move ahead with momentum. You might be enthusiastic, you might be doing things, but you might also be in limbo, in Coventry, in confinement, in catharsis. You might be set apart from people or having a really important phase for regeneration and relaxing into the ghosts of your mind, of examining your spiritual condition. However, with the asteroid Chiron and dwarf planet Eris in exact opposition, you could also be well aware of the daily routines and rituals and health and work situations which demand that you keep on top of things, Scorpio rising. So your job, your recovery in a physical sense, say you had to do rehab for a broken knee, but you just want to rest and take time out to journal, to dream. There's this discrepancy between action and inaction a little bit here. And I would say like take it easy, like do take the day off. But then you've also got Jupiter urging you to travel and take a chance and go big and like embrace a project, embrace your beliefs, your truth. So the ninth house is all about wisdom, and Jupiter's sending you on this big mission to uncover your truth and to journey and to experience other cultures. But it's like being on holiday and needing to take a break, but also needing to do your rehab. Tricky. And, Mars in your first house, really encouraging you, no, I've got to work my knee. I've got to do my, daily systemized practice. But Libra, wanting you to take it easy. And then you've got Sagittarius rising, also on a journey within, also purging and examining private affairs, like super duper private affairs. There may be a secret that you're dealing with. There may be a clandestine, super sleuth mission you're on where you're processing and examining stuff that has gone on. Maybe it's a secret situation in a property that you are privy to. Maybe it's a secret about someone else. What have you been plunged into, Sagittarius rising? Like, what conversations are just taking place that are just completely touching on really deep emotional issues from a watery perspective? Your ruler, Jupiter, wants you to devote time and energy and motivation and planning around reciprocity and these relationships that run really deep, perhaps connected to a property or family, or someone's property that you go into, or a family framework that you're operating in. I know so many Sagittarius risings where properties are a big deal, be it their own property, be it the property of a business, or be it the property of a work environment, or also, where they conduct their job. and so on. It's a really interesting time for the Sag risings. Call me if you want a reading. And then you've got this new moon in your social sector. So, how you step out into a popular area of life, like how you step out into a collaborative team or network of people, how you participate in the world, in your community. You're looking for a new beginning around that, but your own childhood wounds might be coming up. Like, therapy stuff might be really huge and intimacy issues. So that's massive. Like, it's very complex and complicated, and I'm running out of time. Capricorn rising, again, childhood wounds with Chiron and Eris in the base of your horoscope. So it is relevant to say that, we are dealing with these really deep issues. And then at the top of your chart, you've got the new moon in how you're perceived publicly, Capricorn. Sorry, I was just answering. I was looking at my phone, working, but distracted. I must wrap this up soon. So, new moon for Capricorn risings. It's in the house of public image, public perception, career, goals, vocation. But something about where you're from is nagging you. Something about the past is nagging you. Something about your home, your property, your security, your stability is nagging you. And partners are not making it any easier because you've got one person you're learning about growing with who is a sticky wicket, who's just making life, more complicated, more nuanced. And also, community is a huge deal at the moment as well. How you interact with neighbors, how you interact with people in society, how you deal with social networks and your social scene. Aquarius risings, you've got the new moon in your ninth house of wisdom, knowledge, growth, truth seeking, long distance travel, publishing. This is the area of going out to experience other cultures, to experience the world and people, and, working in a different environment, like taking a leap of faith to journey. However, your health or the way that you undertake ritualized activities, your regular practice, your health practice, your well-being, employment situations, how you manage other people or how other people manage you. And your career is a hot button at the moment. Your finances could be scrutinized. So this is a really interesting time if you are working with a foreigner, if you are taking trips to work, or if you are journeying overseas, or if you are trying to operate in a different space. And what might be tripping you up a tiny bit is the Chiron Eris in your third house of communications, mindset, sibling relationships, and, regular environments, local environments. So there's very much this discrepancy between exploring a new way of seeing the world, but then inherently struggling or being aware of your own tendencies, like how you conceptualize things, and then that kind of battling around the work that you're trying to get on and do, right? So complicated, interesting issue for Aquarius around thinking, or might not even say thinking, around operating, around operations and like navigating how you like orient yourself in the world. Let me know if that resonates with a comment. Pisces rising, the last sign of the zodiac. So the grand water trine is really amplifying new projects, existing projects, your inspiration, your children, how you take responsibility as a very solo, prominent figure. You've had Neptune going through your sign for over a decade. You've had to have Saturn there since March of 2023 or May. I think it was March 2023. Saturn's been in your sign. So you have been grinding. You have been working. You have been like just doing it. And now you've got this Mars, Mercury, Black Moon Lilith in this ninth house, which is saying, go for it. But negotiations could be really, really underway with this new moon in Libra and also the Chiron Eris in your financial sector. Not to mention Pluto Pallas in the 12th house as well, forcing you to kind of accept and unravel your financial situation. So there could be really exciting deals on the table, but also how you deal with your job, how you deal with your confidence, how you deal with your ability to make a living, right? You could be so independent and that could be really painful. Like you could be so used to doing things by yourself, so that now that you're presented with this opportunity to collaborate, now that you're invited to get closer to a partner, share space, share a business, share, have a payment plan, accept a mortgage, collaborate, trust, be intertwined with someone emotionally, but probably more literally, with this being an air sign, logically. And then your passions, perhaps not making it easy to focus on what's logical, what's practical. You've got these big opportunities, but you're also having to do the kind of difficult work there. So I was going to go into the eclipses, but I think I rabbited on enough. That Aries Libra axis within your horoscope will be the one that's shifted the most. So yeah, just when I'm talking about the Chiron and the Eris, that's the area. And then Jupiter's been active since the summer, since the end of June. I am zoning out. I gotta go. Gotta go and deliver some really cute gifts to my friend's partner who's passing through Tokyo. I want to spoil them because I can't usually afford the postage that it takes to just send candies and gifts through the post. So that's what I'm doing with my Mars in my house of children and joy, is showering the love to other people's children, which I love. Okay, I'm going to wrap that up here. Happy new moon in Libra, everyone. Please leave a comment, subscribe, etc., etc. You know how it goes. Not being pushy with this Libra new moon. Big hugs.